Lindsie Chrisley and her father Todd have been having pretty public conversations with each other via their podcasts for a few weeks now. This has been a shock to Chrisley Knows best fans, as we know they haven't spoken in nearly a decade. In fact, Lindsie confirms their communication happens via attorneys. This, however, doesn't mean the lines of communication are not open between the two. They have exchanged phone numbers. They just don't use them. Todd Chrisley made the decision to issue an official statement about Lindsie's divorce from her husband Will via Chrisley Confessions. He explained that multiple outlets had reached out to him wanting a statement. He did not want his statement to get twisted by reporters, so he decided to use his podcast for the official statement. On the most recent episode of Lindsie's Coffee Convos podcast, she explained it was brought to her attention that her father has been talking about her, that he issued a statement on her divorce. Lindsie Chrisley admitted she was struggling to process a lot of emotions, but she was shocked her father had anything to say about the end of her marriage. In addition to addressing the divorce via his podcast, Todd also penned a statement directly to his daughter Lindsie via Instagram. He addressed it as, "You know who you are." He penned, "I'm here, I love you. Whatever is going on in your life right now, I see it, and I'm working all things out for good for you, my child." On his podcast, he noted it was a sad day and overall a sad week for his daughter Lindsie. He, however, wanted to shut down those suggesting he was happy by the divorce. Todd Chrisley admits his knowledge of Lindsie's husband is limited, but he always believed Will to be a good man from the little time he got to know him. Likewise, Todd made it clear he was devastated his grandson Jackson was going through this situation, but he took comfort in the hope that his grandson still has a good relationship with Will's parents. So at least, Jackson has some grandparents and stability in his life. Turns out, Lindsie Chrisley had no way of seeing Todd's statement on Instagram. He has her blocked, but she has plenty of followers and friends who brought it to her attention. Lindsie Chrisley admitted she isn't really sure how she feels, and it sounds like she's taking some time to process her father chiming in on her divorce. Lindsie Chrisley reveals that through therapy she's been trying to grow as a person, and part of that growth means she has to spend time processing things before she reacts to them. Could Todd's statement be an olive branch for him and Lindsie to mend their relationship? Many fans have always been hopeful the father and daughter would find their way back to each other. What do you think of what's currently going on between Lindsie and Todd Chrisley? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. And keep coming back for the latest on the Chrisley family. The Chrisley family has never been far from the public eye. But every time peace seems within reach, another revelation shakes the fragile truce that remains between father and daughter. This time, the tension reignited when Todd Chrisley made a bold statement regarding Lindsie Chrisley's divorce, a remark that left her reeling with disbelief. For Lindsie, who has fought hard to move forward after years of public scrutiny, her father's unexpected words were like reopening a wound that had barely healed. A family long torn apart, the Chrisleys, once the picture-perfect reality TV family on Chrisley Knows Best, became a living example of how fame can magnify private pain. Todd, known for his sharp wit and commanding presence, often appeared as the patriarch who demanded perfection. Lindsie, on the other hand, sought independence early, choosing to step away from both the show and her father's tight control. The tension between them deepened over time, especially as personal and legal issues piled up within the family. Lindsie's decision to distance herself wasn't just a rebellion, it was self-preservation. Yet despite the distance, her father's words continued to reach her, reverberating through the public lens that never seems to dim. When Todd recently commented on her divorce, the impact was instant. Lindsie, who had spent months finding calm after the emotional turbulence of her failed marriage, suddenly found herself thrust back into the center of family drama she had worked so hard to escape. The divorce that changed everything. Lindsie's divorce had already been a difficult chapter in her life. Once married to Will Campbell, She faced years of ups and downs before the relationship finally broke. Their split wasn't explosive, it was weary. Years of trying to rebuild what was lost eventually gave way to acceptance that love sometimes runs its course. The process of moving on was slow and painful. Lindsie leaned into her role as a single mother, found solace in faith, and built a podcast platform where she could speak honestly about growth and healing. The experience became more than an ending, it was a turning point. For months, she avoided commenting on her father's ongoing controversies. But Todd's latest remarks struck a nerve precisely because they targeted that very moment of vulnerability: her divorce, her attempt to find peace, and her right to define her own happiness. Todd's words, and the shockwave they sent when Todd spoke out about Lindsay's marriage, his tone carried a blend of judgment and self-assuredness, qualities that made him a captivating reality star but a complicated father. He hinted that her failed relationship was a reflection of misguided choices, implying that she had ignored advice that could have saved her marriage. For a woman who has fought for autonomy her entire adult life, those words were a piercing blow. Lindsie wasn't shocked because her father criticized her. She was shocked because he chose to do so publicly, again. After years of therapy, boundary setting, and spiritual growth, it seemed Todd's statement undid so much of what she had worked toward. It wasn't just about words. It was about timing. Lindsie had been quietly rebuilding her life, focusing on her son, and finding joy in small, ordinary moments. To have her private pain reignited by her father's public commentary felt like déjà vu, another reminder that in the Chrisley family, privacy was a luxury rarely granted. Revisiting old wounds, the Chrisley dynamic has always walked the line between affection and rivalry. Todd's outspoken nature often made headlines, while Lindsay's independence drew admiration and criticism in equal measure. Behind the cameras, though, the emotional wounds ran deep. Lindsie once confided on her podcast that she had learned to detach with love, a phrase that speaks volumes. She wasn't abandoning her family, she was protecting her peace. Over the years, she had accepted that reconciliation might never look the way she once hoped. But every time Todd commented on her life, especially her marriage, it felt like that fragile piece cracked again. For Lindsie, her father's statement wasn't just criticism. It was a reminder of why she had to distance herself in the first place. It reopened memories of control, manipulation, and public humiliation that she had spent years trying to heal from. It reminded her that love, when wielded with conditions, can become another form of pain. The weight of public perception. Being a Chrisley means never truly escaping the court of public opinion. Fans, bloggers, and media outlets have long turned every family issue into entertainment. For years, Lindsie tried to keep her private struggles away from cameras, while Todd leaned into the public image that fame had built around him. This latest episode, however, blurred that line once again. Todd's words were replayed across entertainment platforms, dissected by fans who had already chosen sides. For Lindsie, the humiliation wasn't just in her father's judgment. It was in watching strangers analyze the pain behind her divorce, as if it were a storyline on television. She had spent years separating herself from the reality TV narrative, carving her own identity as a podcast host and influencer who spoke about resilience and faith. But once again, Todd's statement dragged her back into a world she had outgrown. The emotional toll was unmistakable. The shock was not just personal, it was public. A daughter's quiet strength yet amid the shock and disappointment. Lindsie did what she always does. She remained composed. While many expected a fiery response or a media rebuttal, she chose silence. That silence wasn't weakness. It was maturity. After all, she had learned that reacting only fuels the cycle of hurt. Instead, she turned her energy inward, toward her son, her work, and her ongoing commitment to growth. The decision to stay quiet was a sign of just how much she had evolved from the woman who once sought her father's approval. Her friends and followers noticed the strength beneath her calm demeanor. Many admired how she handled yet another emotional ambush with grace. To them, Lindsie had become a symbol of survival, a woman who refused to let public scrutiny dictate her worth. The pattern of pain for longtime observers of the Chrisley family saga, Todd's remarks followed a familiar pattern. Every time one family member tried to heal, another moment of public commentary reignited old tensions, a way of reminding her that, even from afar, his words still carried power. The pain wasn't only in the content of what he said, but in what it represented, a father-daughter bond that never found its rhythm. The love remained, buried beneath pride, misunderstandings, and years of emotional distance.